Happy Saturday, Nashville. 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman back with you. Gentlemen, it's good to be back. I know we did the show on Tuesday, but this is my first Saturday show in almost a month with you guys. So I'm excited the whole crew is reunited.
And for that, we're thankful.
And
Feels good.
It should be a fun one
because
today.
I couldn't carry a show by myself.
I mean, you already did.
Yeah.
You carried 2 hours of Stillman and Company just before the holidays.
Baptism by fire.
I still haven't heard from Jared after that. But it is what it is.
We've got plenty to get to on the show today. We're going to talk college football playoff as the quarterfinals are in the books. We've got the semifinal matchups coming up late next week. We'll talk Titans as they head into week 18. Can they get a win? Do they want to get a win? Is the question there.
I know I don't.
We'll talk about that later in the show. And also SEC hoops. SEC men's basketball starts today. SEC play. The women's side started on Thursday. We'll talk about all that coming up later in the show. But first, let's get to headlines. Nick Frazier, it is time for the Darts Minute. Go ahead.
Yes, sir, indeed. Luke Littler won the World Darts Championship yesterday against Michael Van Gerwen, 7-3. An incredible spectacle to watch. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I've ever been this more invested in watching a 17-year-old darts player dominate a 39-year-old darts player. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. But yeah, I saw a list online. I'm going to read it real quick. He is one of 11 professional athletes to win a world championship before the age of 20. And along with that list, it is Pele. Let's see, Mike Tyson, Larry Hillman, hockey player, Freddie Lindstrom. Oh, man, there are a lot of people here. Martina Higgins, a tennis player, Australian Open. It's ages 16, so younger than Luke Littler. Wilfred Benitez, that's a boxer. And if we, include one or two exceptions, Tiger Woods at the age of 21, John Jones in UFC at 23. But overall, and also Kylian Mbappe is on this list, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
Because he won a World Cup at the age of 19. So I'm going to add that in there. But that's incredible. This guy made SportsCenter top 10. I'm impressed.
I'm impressed too. I watched the whole clip. I played darts when I was home over the holidays last week. And after playing and seeing him just go, triple 19, bullseye. It's impressive to watch. It really is.
That's the appreciation. Once you play, you're like, oh my gosh, these guys, it's tough.
It is hard.
I'm happy because you're happy.
Thank you.
I didn't follow anything you just said.
But
I'm happy that you're happy.
Luke, I will say Luke had a couple of 170 checkouts, which is if there's 170 points left on the score sheet, he has to get 170 points exactly. So anything under 179, you can check out.
You lost.
So sorry, meaning you could end the round essentially. And he had a double bull checkout, like double bullseye, and he checked out with the double 10, which was incredible. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Wow,
it's impressive.
It is
because double bullseye is, I believe, 50 points each.
Yes,
and so then you have your double 10. So it's incredible. I'm just
incredible
excited.
stuff.
Just smile and nod.
If you haven't seen it, it is pretty cool. You can find Luke Littler winning the world championships on social media. And it was on SportsCenter Top 10. We just watched it. It was the number 10 play. Connor Newt, what is your headline this morning?
A bit of weird news out of Kentucky football earlier this week. Kentucky starting quarterback Brock Vandagriff hasn't entered the transfer portal. He's retired.
Yes.
Retiring. Interesting. He wasn't that great. But it's weird to see a college athlete say, I'm retired.
Yeah, not even put the token, I have entered my name into the NFL draft.
Or like the Washington player yesterday, I have entered my name into the job portal.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've seen players from Virginia Tech put their I'm declaring for the NFL draft. I'm like, I'm declaring for the NFL draft. Yeah. I've got the same chance of getting picked. But most guys at least put it out there and just say, hey, if you want to draft me, I'm available.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he still has, he could have been drafted. He's a redshirt junior, so he has one more year of eligibility. I guess he's just folded.
Yeah. And I guess since he is eligible, I'm sure that I'm sure that he can be drafted, but I'm not going to happen. Yeah, very strange to see a quarterback just retire and announce his retirement.
I mean, he could have entered the portal and gone to a smaller G5 and gotten lower competition. Maybe looked a little bit better.
That is true.
But to each their own, I guess.
Yeah.
Enjoy retirement.
Yeah, Kentucky Probably would have been looking for a new quarterback anyway, but
Oh, yeah.
but now for sure we'll have to find a new signal caller in 2025. Jake Wallman, good morning. What is your headline?
Good morning, Jake Lyman. And I just want to say it's really invigorating to watch Nick Frazier talk about darts.
It is.
Like he just gets so happy.
You can see the joy in his face when he talks about it.
It's
There's
funnier
something
when we
about
have
it.
no idea what he's
I know.
saying, but we just smile and nod.
It just
Yeah.
one of these days, as a group, we'll go out and play darts. We'll have a good time.
I
Yep.
like
Good
that.
time.
Wait about
Yeah,
4
when's,
months, we can
when's
have
your
drinks with
birthday?
Wait about 4 more months. We can have some drinks with that.
Anyways,
Okay, yes.
I've got like a combo headline / shout out. So I was listening to Chase and Big Joe earlier this week, and they were talking about New Year's resolutions. And Joe said something that really stuck with me. Don't call it a resolution, call it a goal.
Yeah.
Because like when you call it a resolution, it's like, oh, it's a resolution. You know, you're like coming to like, I guess I got to do this. But when you call it a goal, it's like you really like you're much more energized to meet that goal. So shout out to Big Joe if he's listening, friend of the show.
It's an accountability factor.
Yeah.
He probably is listening. But yeah,
It's
that
probably
is,
here
yeah, that's true. Joe, if you're here,
in the walls or something, wherever he goes.
Make yourself known.
yes, I'm sure that we'll see Jake Wallman turn his head in the studio any second because Joe walked in.
Um,
That's a good one.
And then my headline is Tennessee football survives the longest 48 hours in history, and Mike Matthews is returning to the team.
Yeah,
I saw that.
It was a really weird sequence because I read yesterday via Austin Price from On3 that it was never about the money with the family. It was always about, is Nico going to enter the transfer portal? And then
Which was never happening.
yeah, which was not, I don't think that was a good chance of that happening. But when he didn't, it was like, okay, well, I guess I got to come up with a decision. And then I think it was late New Year's Eve, early New Year's Day or something. The last weekend of the year, he submitted his papers like late Saturday night before the portal closed. And then it was like, oh, well, Tennessee's got 48 hours to respond, give him his release. And
Yeah.
then it was like yesterday where he announced that he was returning. So the longest 48 hours in history of Tennessee football finally comes to an end. Our national nightmare is over.
Yeah, that would have been tough because that wide receiver room is thin. Get to keep him.
Yeah, and
Former
then
5-star recruit.
they're also talking to Zachariah Branch and Zion
Right.
Branch from USC.
Right.
No official visits yet for those two, but
Breaking news. I have received a text message
From Joe Dubin.
from Joe Dubin. I am listening.
Breaking news.
Thank you, Joe.
We will stay tuned on that if Joe Dubin walks into the station at some point. That's a good one. That's a good one, Jake. I like the way Tennessee is heading in the portal. If they can get Zachariah Branch, I think that would be a huge add for them. I told you guys before that I promise I'm not going to use headlines to only talk about Vanderbilt basketball, but I'm going to do it again today because tomorrow is a massive game for Vanderbilt women's basketball. The men start their SEC season today down in Baton Rouge taking on LSU. But tomorrow, Memorial Gym, Connor Newt's going to be there.
I'll be there.
Connor Newt will be in attendance. The Vandy women's team, they are 14-1. They just put up 108 points on Georgia on Thursday in the SEC opener, playing number 16 Kentucky tomorrow. If Vanderbilt wins, they will be ranked, and tickets are just $1.
Come on.
$1.
Go. Come see me.
So you can get into the building, go see some great basketball, basically a ranked matchup in the SEC because Vanderbilt is 26th in the AP poll and will be ranked if they win tomorrow. Michaela Blakes might be the National Freshman of the Year. Camille Pierre leads the country in player efficiency rating right now. And Kentucky has an All-American level player in Georgia Amore on the other side. It's going to be fun. It's $1. You should come out. It looks like there's going to be a good crowd. And I'm excited. I love having an atmosphere in that building. We had it for Florida last year for the $1 ticket game. I've heard that it might be bigger than that one already. They might have more tickets out already than last year. So it should be a fun environment. If you're in the area and you want to watch some good basketball, come out. That's my shameless plug.
Caller number 3 will get a seat in Jake Lyman's lap. Come on down.
I don't know if we're actually allowed to say that. Well,
I'm testing the waters. I'm seeing if the phone lines blow up.
Don't-
Curious.
Yeah, don't call in.
If Vanderbilt actually were to line this up with like a 50-cent corn dog day, that'd be even better.
Yeah, there is a giveaway tomorrow. Let me see if I can pull these up quickly. It's a pretty sweet like Vandy jersey that you can get.
I can't wait to sell that on eBay.
I
Yeah.
thought it would be a Jake Lyman autograph.
It's
I'd much rather
Autograph
have
basketball.
that. Yeah, I'd much rather have that.
they just tweeted it out. Let me see. There it is. It's got like the skyline of Nashville
Oh, that's
on there.
nice.
If you're watching on the stream, that's what it looks like. So giveaway tomorrow.
I'll get it if you sign it for me.
Okay,
Sign the back.
I can do that.
I'll wear it every day. I'll frame it.
But anyway, that is my shameless plug. 615 day tomorrow at Memorial Gym. $1 tickets. Vanderbilt taking on number 16 Kentucky for a spot in the top 25. So should be a lot of fun. Those are our headlines this morning. Nick Frazier, I don't know if you're prepared, but I did put down on the grid that you have question of the day today. I don't know if you have one ready.
We'll get to it here in a second.
Okay.
We'll
give you the break to think
you.
of one.
Please.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to chime in, you can text or call our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We are broadcasting live this morning from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman with you on this Saturday morning. 4's Company, we're going to get into college football coming up next. Quarterfinals are in the books. Thriller between Arizona State and Texas back on New Year's Day. Ohio State and Notre Dame with commanding victories to move into the semifinals along with Penn State. We'll get into it coming up next here on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Does your internet bill keep getting higher? That's because promo pricing is full of surprises. At Google Fiber,
4's Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman with you on this Saturday morning. Before we get into some college football talk, do want to get to our question of the day. Nick Frazier, we gave you the break to think of one. Do you have one ready?
I do. I just got pump faked coming back from the break. That's all right.
Punked.
So say if the Titans end up, having the number 1 overall pick, what would you do, Titans fans? Would you trade back out of the number 1 overall pick, Or would you take that pick, draft your franchise quarterback, and call it a day? That's the question of the day.
I love it. And we're going to talk Titans in the second hour of the show anyway. So we will get to that coming up at 10 o'clock. If you have an answer, we'd love to hear from you. 615-737-1025. Text or call. What would you do if it works out and the Titans have the number 1 overall pick? All that needs to happen, Titans lose to the Texans on Sunday, and the Patriots beat the Bills' backups. Unlikely, but possible. Titans would have the number 1 overall pick for just the second time in franchise history, I believe.
Yeah.
Which they traded out of in 2016.
Yeah.
More Super Bowl appearances than that, too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we will see if the Titans get the number 1 pick, and do they actually use it for the first time ever? So if you have thoughts on what the Titans should do if they end up picking first, please text or call 615-737-1025. We'll talk Titans in the 10 o'clock hour, but first let's talk college football, guys. We made picks back on Tuesday for the quarterfinals, and man, me and Connor were almost
So
perfect.
close.
We were both 3 for 4, I believe,
You were closer than I was.
because you had Penn State,
Yeah.
Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon.
Oregon.
So you missed Oregon. I missed Arizona State.
You
That
were
was the
closer
only
than
one
I
I
was.
missed. I had the forks up. I thought that Cam Scadaboo was going to carry him, but he had severe wear and tear.
Let me just
his
say-
entire body was red.
Let me just say, for a week and a half, like 3 shows, including Stillman and Company, I told you all Notre Dame was beating Georgia.
Yeah.
So play the Randy Travis. I told you so. I don't think you understood that reference.
I didn't, but
It's a song.
Darts, wrestling. I just let you.
That
guys
wasn't
go.
even wrestling.
Oh, that wasn't
was
wrestling?
just Randy
Oh,
Travis.
right. I was thinking Randy Orton when you said that for some reason. Yes, Randy Travis. Yes, Notre Dame. We were both on Notre Dame. Frazier, you picked Georgia, right?
Yeah, let me just go through the laundry list of the Frazier fade, as I like to call
Yeah.
it.
The Frazier fade.
Everybody, yeah, my friends call it the Frazier fade. Boise State to keep it within 6 did not happen. Texas to put up a 40 burger against Arizona State did not happen. I said Oregon would continue their perfect season. Did not happen. And terrible take by me, but Dylan Gabriel would be a solid option for the Titans if they were to trade back. Yeah. And almost Georgia to keep it afloat. And they did. Yeah. So 0 for 5, I believe.
Yeah, that was a rough week for Nick Frazier in the picks, but we don't keep score, so no one will know.
It's like whose line is it?
Yeah.
Anyway? The points don't matter.
Yeah, the
Love that show.
Great
Wish
show.
it was on more often.
It is
Great
a
show.
great show. Wayne Brady.
Ryan
Drew
Stiles.
Carey.
Yeah, very good. It was a fun weekend of college football, even though we did get 3 games that weren't all that competitive late. Ohio State looked unbelievable against Oregon. Like, even though it was a blowout, it was fun to watch that team work. Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, they have hit their stride at the right time. I think that Michigan loss woke them up. And Ohio State, they are the favorite. And I think it's hard to make a case for anybody else to be the odds-on favorite to win the national championship.
It's like Ryan Day remembered he has 3 NFL caliber wide receivers
Right,
on his team.
and 2
he should probably use
NFL
them.
running backs as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Smith might be the most electric player in college football right
Yep.
now, not named Travis Hunter. But
Teams should start stockpiling 2027 draft picks to get ready for him coming out, along with Ryan Williams, who, I don't know if you've heard this, he's 17 years old.
like Luke Littler, just like him.
Just like him.
Honestly, this may be a little bit of a bold take, but if Jeremiah Smith were to declare today, I think he would be wide receiver 1 off the board.
I don't know about wide receiver 1.
Who's better?
He would be a top 10 pick.
Maybe Tet McMillan.
That's what I'm saying. You might take Tet McMillan just because he's more experienced and he could hold up against the grown men he's going to face in the NFL. I think Jeremiah Smith would be a top 10 pick if he declared right now. I think there would be some teams that would be a little bit skeptical of whether you could bring the 18-year-old in. Now, if the question is, if he declared right now, but he still couldn't play for 2 years, but you could draft his rights, kind of like the NHL, where you pick the 18-year-olds, they go back and play in their home country and then come over eventually. I wonder how high he would go.
Yeah.
If it was like, if the draft was like that, where you can take this 18-year-old, but he's not going to play for you for 2 years.
Would you sell your soul for a 2-year advantage on a player?
I wouldn't go that far. I would never go that far.
No, because think about, I think the perfect example of getting too high on a young wide receiver is Justin Ross from Clemson. Remember that national championship game where he was unstoppable? You could not guard him. He looked like the best Clemson wide receiver we'd seen in a long time. Better than Mike Williams. Maybe better than DeAndre Hopkins his freshman year. He was so good. And obviously injuries played a big role in this, but he was a 5th-round pick, 6th-round pick, really never played in the NFL. So yes, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, they look great as freshmen, but you do have to see them develop. I think they will be top 5 picks. I think it's pretty safe to say, barring any major injury over the next 2 years. But yeah, it's one of those things where you have to realize that you're 2 years away from those guys being able to enter their name into the draft. So a lot can change.
Yeah.
But he's so talented. And that Ohio State team, Ohio State, Texas, we'll talk about this a little later coming up too, but I think that's basically the national championship.
Yeah.
Like I don't see Notre Dame or Penn State. Great seasons, but they got lucky the draw they had on that side of the bracket. I don't see either of them.
I would argue Ohio State, Oregon was your national championship.
Yeah. I think Texas could hang in there.
I think they could. I think their offense might stall out a little bit. That offense has struggled a little bit with Quinn Ewers under center. Weird to me they didn't use Arch Manning in any capacity the other day, though.
Yeah. And getting to that game, that might be one of the best games I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Most entertaining games I've ever seen at the very least. Because best, I guess you had a couple of bad missed field goals in there. So it wasn't phenomenal football. Like it wasn't like both teams were playing their best, but we got a great finish. I mean, Arizona State coming all the way back from down 16 late.
Yeah.
And then taking it to overtime, the 2 missed field goals, the doink. Arizona State up 7, 4th and 12, and then Quinn Ewers goes right up the seam to Matthew Golden for a touchdown.
Why did they blitz? They sent a full blitz package.
It's crazy how fast in college overtime things can flip. It went from Arizona State being 1 stop away from winning the game to 2 plays later, they were down 8. 3 plays later, including the 2-point conversion. But it was about a minute and a half of actual time. It went from Arizona State 1 play away from moving on to the semifinals to your back's against the wall, down 8, have to go score, get a 2-point conversion. I wish that they didn't do the 2-point conversion shootout after 2 overtimes in the playoff at the very least. For regular season games, fine. But in a game like that, I'm glad it didn't go to that 3rd overtime because I hate that would be how that game was decided, just dueling 2-point conversions.
Yeah, and also, like, if you want to get rid of field goals, get rid of field goals. You know what I mean? Like, some people, they argue back and forth about overtimes because if one guy ends up, I guess one team, they get the ball first, they don't score, the second team can easily just kick a field goal on the 25.
Yeah.
So, like, you can get rid of that. Like, because I'm with you. The back and forth, I think it was 6 or 7 overtimes. It was A&M versus LSU way back, I think maybe 2016, 2017, when Jimbo is still there. That's, I think, what caused this, back and forth after 3 overtimes.
Well, it used to be 6, or the first 5 overtimes were normal because I remember my sophomore year at Virginia Tech, the Hokies played North Carolina and went to 6 overtimes, and Tech won it on the first dueling 2-point conversion. Quincy Patterson running it in. But I'm fine if you want to do it after 5, but in a game like that where so much is on the line, this is a playoff game, I would have hated for it to be decided on just plays from the 3-yard line. Let these teams go play. It didn't end up getting to that point, but that should be a rule change that they make. Yeah, regular season, fine. We don't want the games to go for 4.5 hours going back and forth, but in a playoff game like that, no one's going to complain about watching more of that game. So I think that's a rule change that they should make.
Would that, I guess, watching that game and the result of it, would that entice you to maybe go to an NFL style and just do a full quarter for overtime?
I
In
hate
playoff
NFL
games or no?
overtime.
I love the style of college overtime,
Yeah.
but I do get what you're saying that like it's a football game for basically for a national championship. Like you're playing to move closer to a national championship. You should play real football. I don't know. That's something for the higher ups to discuss, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, just because college football is already in shambles with the committee and so forth, might as well just throw another wrench into it all. Like maybe they should do a full quarter. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Was this the most poorly seeded playoff in history?
They need to just seed the teams 1 through 12. That is a change that has to be made this year. You cannot have all credit to Boise State. They had a great season. You cannot have Penn State losing the Big Ten championship and getting the easiest path to the semifinals, facing probably the two worst teams in the field, SMU and Boise State.
Well, your 4 bye teams went 0-4. All 4 bye teams lost. So if that's not indicative of your system, I don't know what is.
Yeah. But to be fair, Ohio State was coming off of a long period off too. And they came out and put up 28 points in the first quarter or whatever against Tennessee. So
I'm not saying those top 4 seeds weren't deserving. Oregon's 100% deserving of the number 1 seed. Georgia's the SEC champion. They're 100% deserving of the number 2.
The 2, yeah.
Boise and Arizona State, I could argue maybe a little lower down the line.
Yeah, they should not have had the buys. I think they're going to fix that. Quickly before we take a break on overtime, I don't know if I brought this up on the show, but one of my hot takes about NFL overtime is there should not be ties. We should do a kicker shootout at the end of overtime if it goes to a tie.
Line up on each end, just go.
So you start at the 25, you kick. If everybody makes it, you move back to the 35, then the 40, then the 45, 50, and you keep going until maybe you get to like 55 yards, and then you just keep going until somebody misses. I think it would only happen maybe once a year. Like, how many ties do you have a year? Maybe one.
Have we had one this year?
No, there's been none this year.
I don't think so.
It would rarely ever happen, but it would make you really want to have a good kicker, because if it gets to that point, it's all in his hands at that. And it would be so much fun to watch. And it's only in the regular season. This wouldn't be for playoff games. But get rid of the ties. We are Americans. We don't do ties here. So I think kicker shootout, that would be my solution to NFL overtime.
Unless you play in the MLS, then you do ties there.
No, we don't do ties.
I still don't like the ties in the MLS.
Yeah.
I don't like ties in general.
I don't like how the MLS, they don't have a relegation system. I think obviously there's too much money involved in that league, but they should involve a relegation system, and a promotion system for lower leagues. But there's too much involved in that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I'm with Jake Lyman. No ties.
The rest of the world does ties. America doesn't do ties. We win or we lose.
And Canada.
Yeah. I want the kicker shootout. I think that would be great. You'd pay your kickers maybe a little bit more. You'd invest in kickers a little bit more. And I think since it only would happen once, maybe twice a year, it wouldn't impact the game all that much to where people are saying, oh, well, the kicker shouldn't decide. It would only happen in the event we get through overtime still tied. So there's my soapbox for the day. I don't think we should have ties in NFL football. Give me the kicker shootout. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to chime in. Again, our question of the day from Mr. Nick Frazier: if the Titans end up with the number 1 pick, what would you do? Would you take a quarterback? Would you trade back? Would you take Abdul Carter, the best edge rusher available? A lot of options for the Titans if they end up with that top pick. 615-737-1025. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We're going to keep talking college football on the other side. Get ready for these semifinal matchups. Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State coming up next. You're listening to 4's Company here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
This goes out to the Phaser Frayed.
I mean, this is all the years and months of me downing a Tennessee fan, I guess. But
Yeah,
you know what? That's all right. I don't care.
it's okay.
That's fine.
You're going to do better this week.
Thank you. And you know what? I can still rebound with Luke Littler, the
Yeah,
17-year-old
that is true.
world
You say,
champion.
You were on
phenom.
Luke Littler before anybody was. So
Before the world even knew there was darts.
there we go. Tune in to 93.3 FM Totally Hits Nashville tonight for MTSU men's basketball. The Blue Raiders take on Liberty. Tip-off at 5. Pregame begins at 4:30. Coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. We're chatting about college football. The college football playoff semifinals coming up next week. It will be a matchup between the 5 and the 8 seeds, Texas and Ohio State, the 6 and the 7 seeds, Notre Dame and Penn State on the other side. We kind of talked about it in the last segment about it feels like the winner of Ohio State, Texas is probably going to win the national championship. It's not going to be a Georgia TCU 65-7 blowout in the national championship. And credit to Notre Dame and Penn State. I just can't see them keeping it within 10 points of Ohio State or Texas in that national championship game.
I don't know. There's something about Notre Dame that gives me hope. I think Marcus Freeman is really, really coming into his own as a coach. You saw him the other day with that fourth fake. He sends out the special teamers. Oh, no, wait, here they come. Gets Georgia to jump off sides and ball game. I don't know. I just feel like he's an X's and O's guy, and I think he's really coming into his own now that he has kind of his own guys in, gotten rid of the Brian Kelly riffraff. But I don't know. There's just something about this Notre Dame team that I feel like they're not like Notre Dame teams of old. I feel like they have a lot higher of a chance than people give them credit for.
Yeah, and to that point too, I feel like he's matured as the season has progressed. Kind of what you're saying there. And I think after that NIU loss, that a different ball club for sure. They definitely came into their own, and they understand the X's and O's like you're talking about with Marcus Freeman. Listen, I've always picked against Notre Dame this year, and I probably shouldn't. And that's why I'm a little hesitant to look at this game between Penn State, because Penn State, obviously, they're a good ball club with James Franklin, but at the same time, Notre Dame, they always prove me wrong. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to just sit back, get a drink, watch it on the recliner, and see how this plays out. Because if Notre Dame wins and go to the national championship, I'm not saying they're heavy underdogs when it comes to going up against either Ohio State or Texas, but they're going to put up a really good fight.
I'd say if it's Ohio State, Notre Dame and Penn State, I would say are probably touchdown underdogs minimum. But
yeah,
we've seen crazier things happen. I think Ohio State's going to cruise to the national championship.
No, I'm with you.
The way they're playing right now. But also, we could see the Michigan version of Ohio State come out. We don't know. It all depends on the day. But the way Ohio State's playing right now, if they can keep this momentum going, no one's going to stop them.
Depends on the day, as in Ryan Day.
Depends on the day.
Bingo. I don't know. We haven't seen the Ryan Day choke yet. I feel like it's coming in some capacity.
The same could be said for Penn State.
That is very true.
So maybe we'll get a Notre Dame Texas national championship.
I feel like Notre Dame Penn State going to that game, I feel like that is going to be smash mouth, physical, run it up the middle football.
Yeah, that game might end like 14-13 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I could see Penn State winning. Drew Aller, some of the throws he made on Tuesday night were really impressive. And I think he's a guy, if he was to change his mind and come out in the draft, I think he would end up being a top 10 pick.
Yeah, someone would take a flyer on it.
Just because there isn't a ton of quarterbacks to get excited about. And I think Drew Aller has the arm talent, and he's looked a lot better down the stretch this year than he did early in the season and last year. I think somebody would draft him in the top 10.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Bo Nix in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of a under the radar, not high looked upon prospect, but someone would take a risk on him. And I mean, it's worked out well for Bo Nix so far, so who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still out on Drew Aller. I think there's just something, like Jake's alluded, there's something else that has to be kind of added on to his skill set. Maybe it's read progressions. I don't know. Like, I'll have to go back and look at more of what he does. But I mean, you're right though. He had a lot of good throws against
those first two
Boise State.
touchdown passes were dimes.
Yeah.
I mean, the one in the back of the end zone to Tyler Warren, and then dropping the one in the bucket from 40 yards out later in that first quarter.
Tyler Warren is top 10 pick material.
He won't be.
He won't be.
He's not Brock Bowers, and Bowers went 13.
Yeah.
So I would say Warren's a first-round pick, but tight end, that position just doesn't get drafted high.
I don't know. With Warren, he kind of resembles a little bit of like an H-back feel, where he could be a
He's got a
tight
little
end.
Gronk feel to him.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Mark Andrews. Like, he can do it all.
Yeah.
But he's a great blocker, but then he runs like a receiver.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just reminds me of like that spread offense where you have an H-back where he's kind of like a fullback hybrid with the tight end. I don't know. The tight end position in general is just evolved throughout the years, but that's what he reminds me of, is a really good H-back.
He's going to be a good player. I don't know who is advising Drew Allard and not go into the draft this year. Like, this is the weakest draft for quarterbacks since 22, when it was Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis. Like, Kenny Pickett was a first-round pick. I think Drew Allard is better than Kenny Pickett.
He's not the only one returning.
I know Nussmeier's going back to
Nussmeier.
LSU. There's one more who
Kyron Drones.
not Kyron Drones. Kyron Drones might not even start for the Hokies next year. Pop Watson is going to be the quarterback. He wasn't great last night. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, I saw a headline yesterday that there are scouts that say Shedeur Sanders isn't even worth a first-round pick. So why would Drew Allard not come out when somebody's going to fall in love with a quarterback? And I think it probably would be him if he went out, maybe not ahead of Shedeur and Cam, but there are enough quarterback needy teams in the top 10. You look at the Titans, the Browns could pick a quarterback. The Jets need a quarterback. The Giants need a quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. Like, that's 5 teams all picking in the top 10. And there's only really 2 quarterbacks that are considered there right now. I don't get why Drew Allard is going back to Penn State.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation. I don't know. I'm kind of with Frazier. There's just something about Drew Allard, and I'm like, let's hold off on that.
He's not complete yet.
Yeah. And so maybe coming back to college is the right decision.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe next year he blows up and ends up being the first overall pick. Like, maybe he has a Joe Burrow type year next year where he goes from, maybe there's something there to, okay, that's the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think they're quarterbacks now that are upperclassmen that understand there is money to be had in college football. There is the aspect of being a businessman. You can make more money in college right now than you would as a backup rookie quarterback.
And that is a good point, is that the money is no longer a huge factor because he's probably getting paid
$3.6 million for an NIL value.
Is that actually?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I guess that is a good point, that it's not like the money is all that different. Yeah, he'd get paid more in the NFL, but once you get over like $3 million, is there a whole difference between 3 and 7 for him or whatever it would be?
Yeah. Because if you look at it, if he goes back for another season and Penn State makes another playoff push,
yeah,
there are going to be people that are knocking at his front door saying, hey man, we want to endorse you. You have our company along with your name. He'll have around 5 to 6 roughly.
That's what he's
Yeah.
playing for. That's what I mean. He's not guaranteed a top 5 pick this year. Why not come back? Maybe prove yourself, play a little bit better, get that top 5 pick. That's more money.
Because
Right.
if you look at the top 5, top 10 picks from the not leaving my computer, just pointing in general, but like Jaden Daniels, he signed for what, 39 million? Divide that by 5, that comes out to around 7.8, 7.9. So roughly, you're making a rookie deal if you're still in Penn State.
Yeah, and you're going to go into next year as one of the players to watch heading into college football. Yeah, I get it, but also there seems to be more talent in next year's quarterback draft class. I know Arch Manning is the one who gets talked about the most. Nussmeier coming out. I know there are some draft analysts. I like Nussmeier might be the most polarizing quarterback. There are some people who say he would be the number 1 pick if he came out, and others who think he should be like a 4th or a 5th round pick. So I don't know. I just don't get it. Anyway, off on a tangent there. Should be some good college football semifinal games. We will pick those later on in the show as those games do happen before our next show, right? It's next Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So yes, we will pick those coming up at the end of the show. Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas for a spot in the national championship game. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. When we come back, it's 9:45. Time for Newt's Notes here on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta. Newt's Notes.
4's Company, you hear the music. You know what time it is. Connor Newt, it's time for Newt's Notes.
Okay, so hopefully my dad isn't listening because this is kind of based off of him, but there's this notion I've been noticing, especially with the SEC going down the way it did in the playoffs this year, people marketing themselves as SEC fans. My dad is one of them, it appears. So he the other day was, Georgia and Notre Dame was on. He's like, he said, I want Georgia to win because they're in the SEC. I don't understand that. That's a conference opponent. To me, that's like saying, well, I want the Blackhawks to win because they are in the Central Division. I mean, I get Georgia's not, for us, obviously we're Kentucky fans. I get Georgia's not really a rival, but I don't really understand that. That's maybe a better comparison would be like, well, I want the New England Patriots to win because they are in the AFC. So I'm just saying, I think we need to end conference pride. I think we need to end, well, I want this team to win because they're in the same conference and I want representation. Now, I understand Jake Lyman brought this up to me before the show. That's money.
It's about the money.
It's money every time a team goes to the semifinals or the finals or whatever. Kentucky every SEC team just got $1 million because Texas is in the semifinal.
Not quite $1 million. I forgot that there's 16 SEC teams now. So yes,
still money.
$14 million, I think, was the number to each conference that had a team in the semifinals. Notre Dame got all $14 million to itself because it doesn't have a conference.
I would separate the fan aspect from the actual program.
Yeah.
I'm sure the SEC programs were going, yeah, we'd
Go
love
Georgia.
We'd love to see the Bulldogs in the national championship. We'd love to see the Longhorns there. But from a fan perspective, I don't understand that. The only exception I can make to conference pride is basketball when you have a conference head-to-head, like the ACC-SEC challenge. Even then, I'm not cheering for Tennessee. I'm not cheering for Arkansas. I'm not cheering for Mississippi State. No offense. I mean, that's just my mindset. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, but I can't get behind cheering for a team in the same conference just for the sake of they're in the same conference as us.
I think in non-conference games for basketball and football, you should root for your conference because you want your conference to be as highly regarded as possible when you play those teams because it helps your resume. But I agree with you. I don't feel any conference pride for the ACC being a Virginia Tech fan. Like I wasn't rooting for Clemson or SMU just because they were in the ACC. So I get that. It is weird. I've seen a couple of tweets like, how do SEC fans feel about this? I'm like, what is an SEC fan?
I love all 16 teams.
It's like Rob Lowe wearing the NFL hat at the 49ers game. It's like, just show up to Neyland Stadium
I hope
wearing
they all have
an
fun.
SEC logo on your hat.
I hope they all have fun.
I mean, you're right though, Connor. I'm not into the like conference cheering for pride, all the above. Listen, I've had a few friends that have played college ball. If it's basketball, football, whatever, I'll cheer for them individually. I hope their team wins for their sake. But as for an affiliation towards that school, nah.
I think
from time to time, if Vandy's doing good or Tennessee's doing good, yeah, like good for you guys. Home state, good for you guys.
I say this for college football as someone with no dog in the fight. I don't really care who wins it. But I just can't, as someone who is unbiased and neutral, I can't get behind cheering for Texas to win the whole thing just because they're in the SEC. I'm sure there are Big Ten people out there that are like, well, I can't get behind cheering for Ohio State just because they're in the Big Ten. Notre Dame doesn't have that problem. But I don't know. It's something that's your rivals. Not rivals, but those are opponents. We play, Georgia on a yearly basis. I don't want them to win. We put them to the test. 13-12. That was a game that happened. They beat you. I don't want to see the team that beat me go on and have success. I say this in March Madness too. There are a lot of people that are like, well, it's a good thing St. Peter's beat us because they went to the Sweet 16. I don't want them to win. I want them to lose. I want them to be punished because they beat my team. That's just how I think. But as far as conferences, what do you do when in basketball the conference tournament rolls around? I want them all to win. I want everyone to have fun. I don't know. It's contradictory of your fanship, I feel. Like, if you come out, for me as a Kentucky fan, and then you're cheering for, well, I hope Tennessee beats Ohio State in the playoffs because they're in the SEC, that just throws away the entire rivalry. There's like a hatred between those two teams on some level, more in basketball than football. But I don't know. Just frustrating stuff for me.
I think there's an element of conference pride, though, with, there was all the stats coming out about how the Big Ten was beating up on the SEC in these bowl games. And it's like, as a fan of an SEC team, you want your conference to be highly regarded. And so you want to say, we got the best football in the country down here in the Southeast. And when you're losing to the Big Ten, it doesn't look like that as much. When Illinois is beating South Carolina, and Michigan, who is 7-5, beats Alabama, like, that doesn't look good for the conference. I think there is an element of wanting your conference to look good, but I also agree with, I'm never going to cheer for my rival. Like, I don't care who Virginia is playing. I will never be rooting for Virginia, even if it helps Virginia Tech somehow. If it's like, oh man, if Virginia wins this game and Tech wins theirs, Tech goes to the ACC championship. I want the Hoos to lose no matter what. But I think some other teams that aren't necessarily rivals in a postseason atmosphere like the NCAA tournament or in a bowl game, I can understand rooting for the conference just because of the view of the media and the rest of the country when it comes to your conference is a lot of times based on postseason performance.
Yeah. I think a lot of this stems from some people I know that are, your typical fans. I'm a Kentucky basketball fan, but I'm an Alabama football fan, maybe. I mean,
it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You get one.
Was this the first Newts Notes that you did?
No, the first one
two
was
teams.
The first one was Brock Bowers.
Right, because that was draft week. Yeah. I remember early on you did a Newts Notes on you get one team.
Let's revisit the 2-team rule.
I think that was during our college football preview because we had like a team A and a team B. We had like a 1A, 1B.
Yeah. That might be right.
You don't get 1A, 1B.
It was over the summer.
Let's revisit that. You get one team. For me, it's Kentucky. For Nick Frazier, it's Mississippi State. For you, it's Virginia Tech. For Jake Wallman, it's obviously Tennessee. Now you can like other teams. I like Ole Miss. I like Oregon simply because, that's Coach New.
Don't forget Notre Dame. That was your 2B.
And Notre Dame.
There you go.
But they will never trump the Kentucky fandom I have. I will never let those three that I somewhat like convolute my view of Big Blue. Never. That's the rule. So for the people that are, well, I like Duke basketball, but I love Georgia football. Stop. It's over. Just stop.
Bye.
Bye.
I wonder how those people feel about Juan Soto leaving the Yankees too.
They're probably fine.
Yeah. The Lakers it's Lakers season.
Yeah, it is Lakers season.
The Cowboys suck this year though.
The Dodgers are good though.
Yeah, that's true. The Dodgers, they just signed another Japanese player or Korean. Haesung Kim.
The NBO or
The NBA?
No, NBO. The something. It might have been KBO.
Let me
start with
see.
an N,
Korean
though.
Korean standout.
Okay.
Haesung Kim.
Yeah.
Not Haesung Kim. Haesung Kim.
Yeah, I better say there was somebody previously had the similar name, played for the Cardinals, and went back to the KBO.
Padres shortstop.
Yeah,
I think.
Haesung Kim is he's a free agent right now. Speaking of Korea, have you guys watched Squid Game season 2?
Yes.
I haven't watched season 1.
Season 1's really good. Season 2 was meh for me.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
The ending to me just was upsetting.
Yeah, I agree. But you should watch season 1.
I don't get into all the whole. How do I say this without being racist?
The dubs, like the
goriness of like.
No,
like I'm fine with that.
Oh, you can't watch it when it's not,
when
like,
the
not
mouth doesn't match up.
My brother and my dad, they play these anime like games. And I'm like, I don't know how you guys do this. Like, it gets on my nerves. Like obnoxious characters and like
it's
the dub is hard for me to understand or get into. It's just not for me. I like my things American.
It's fair.
Another good show on Netflix that is a dub, Money Heist. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've heard about that.
That's one of my favorite shows. If you're looking for if you want to watch Squid Game but not the actual show, there's a reality show on Netflix that they just redid Squid Game with actual people. So
it sounds cheesy.
It's honestly, it is kind of cheesy, but it's super entertaining. It's 456 like real people, and they're playing for $4.5 million.
And they die.
They don't kill them. No. They do have some like cool special effects of like one of the games is Glass Bridge, where like there are two platforms. One of them holds up and the other one falls. And apparently it wasn't real. Like they would jump, they would get told whether it was good or not, and then they'd have a stunt double come in and fall for them. But in the show, it looks like they jump and they just fall like 100 feet or whatever it is.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
I haven't been watching anything lately.
Yeah.
I mean, with football on.
Right.
That new movie with Jason Bateman,
Carry On.
Oh, that was good. No, I liked that.
Big fan.
I've seen people saying like, oh, it's super unrealistic. That could never happen. I'm like, it's a movie. Turn your brain off for a second and just enjoy the action. It's like Die Hard. Like,
yeah.
I've got a question for you guys about, concerning Netflix series.
Sure.
Did you guys watch Outer Banks?
Yes.
Like when that came out, like
I love Outer Banks.
I've gotten through like 2.5 seasons and then I kind of lost interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Outer Banks.
How do they keep finding these treasures?
Well, that's my thing is after what was the last season? Season 4?
Yeah.
So this new in season 5. After last season, I was like, I kind of wish they would just end it because they found the treasure, then everybody was cool. And then they came out with a new season. I'm like, I don't know.
There's too much money to be made.
That's my hot take. I could never get into Stranger Things.
I like Stranger Things.
I tried.
Yeah, I've never watched it.
Not for me.
Yeah. Apparently there's a new season of that coming out soon too.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's the last season.
Sometime this year, I believe.
All these kids that were kids when they started the show are now in like their mid-20s.
It's weird how that happens. But,
yeah.
People grow up.
Anyway,
that's true.
I don't even know how we got here.
I don't either.
I don't know.
We made some sort of bridge and found our way to Netflix somehow.
Took
in
a
Newt's
left
notes.
turn.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Connor, thanks for Newt's notes. We kind of got sidetracked there, but I agree with you. Don't root for the SEC just for the sake of rooting for the SEC. Have a reason for it at least. If it's about the money, say it's about the money.
I like money.
Yeah.
It's like what was it, the SpongeBob movie where they ask him why he
Yeah.
opens the second Krusty Krab? He's like, I like money.
615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to chime in. We're going to get to our question of the day coming up next, and it ties right into where we were heading next. The Titans. They are currently slated to pick second in the NFL draft. There is a path to number one. What would you do if the Titans end up with the number one pick? Lots of options out there. We will give our answers coming up next. Hour number one in the books. Hour number two coming up next. You're on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number two, 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman with you. Getting into our question of the day here in hour number two. We are going to talk Titans here in the first half of this hour, and then we'll wrap up with some talk about some college basketball. SEC play starts today. Vanderbilt is at LSU. Coverage of that game starting right here on The Game. Later on this afternoon, we'll talk some SEC hoops to wrap up the show. But first, let's get to our question of the day. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to chime in. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Nick Frazier wants to know if the Titans end up with the number one pick, and again, the path to that is a loss against the Texans on Sunday and a Patriots win over the Bills backups on Sunday as well. Unlikely. The Patriots are not very good, but there's a chance that the Titans could end up with the number one pick. What would you do if you had that, if you had all of those options at your disposal? We'll get to your answers in a second. Again, 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Connor Newton, how are you feeling if the Titans end up with the number one pick?
Honestly, I'm repeating history. I'm trading down.
Yeah.
I'm trading down. I'm trading with, we'll see if the Raiders want something. They want to jump up and take Shador. Fine. I'll get a first round pick. I'll get their first round pick from this year. I'll get a first round pick from next year and throw in a third.
Yeah, maybe get your third back from the Snead trade.
Done. If they have pick number 4, what do they have? 4. What are the Raiders?
Raiders have fallen back. They're 7, I think, because they've won back-to-back games.
Perfect. Give me Will Banks.
Kelvin Banks.
Kelvin Banks. That fixes your tackle situation. There you go. You got a right tackle or a left tackle if you want to flip JC right back to left.
Grab Will Campbell from LSU.
Will Campbell.
Right tackle.
Will Campbell apparently profiles as a guard.
Yeah. No, I'm taking Kelvin Banks. And then you're set up for next year. You got 2 first-round picks, and you get your third back. So there's your go grab Kyron Lacey in the 3rd round as a wide receiver, or, maybe fix your edge situation.
Yeah, you could maybe get like Kyle Kennard at the top of the 2nd round or something like that.
I think that's the safest bet. I think you restock for the future. And I mean, Travis Hunter's great and all, but I don't think he's what this team needs right now. I don't think this team, you have maybe the best corner room you've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Wide receiver wise, I don't think Travis will play as much wide receiver.
Yeah,
as
he'll
he
have a
does corner.
package, but he's not going to. I don't think you can have him as a full-time wide receiver if you
Mhm.
want him to have the maximum impact on your team.
Probably put him as a punt returner. It's a hybrid cornerback.
Oh, yeah.
If
No,
need
I would
be.
definitely have him fielding punts.
Yeah.
But
Travis Hunter would be a Dory Jackson if he came here.
yeah, that's exactly what's going
He
to happen.
would.
He's going to go be an all-pro somewhere. But if he came here, he'd be,
above average.
above average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trading back. I'm taking, a tackle. Kelvin Banks, probably. I'm getting a first round for next year. I'm getting a third for this year. Maybe. Bottom line is I'm restocking my draft picks, and Titans have number 1. Trade it.
Yeah.
Send it down.
I think the only 2 options if you have the number 1 pick, quarterback, trade down.
Yep.
I get Abdul Carter's good, but if you're taking an edge rusher number 1 overall, he's got to be and Trayvon Walker, I get, was the number 1 pick. That's the Jaguars being the Jaguars. But you've got to he's got to be pretty generational if you're taking an edge rusher number 1. Myles Garrett would be a great example of that. Jadeveon Clowney was supposed to be that, and maybe if he put in the work and cared a little bit more, he would be generational. He's got generational talent. I think you go quarterback. I don't love either of the quarterbacks that are up there. I don't love Shedeur Sanders. I don't love Cam Ward. But how often do you get to pick at the top of a draft? Not very often. We just mentioned the Titans, I believe in franchise history, have only had the number 1 pick once in 2016, and they traded back. I think you don't have your quarterback. I think you have to pick one. Do I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be a superstar? I don't know. Like that's up for debate. But I think you pick at the top of the draft. I think you have to take a quarterback.
I can't do it. I can't wrap my head around grabbing a quarterback that I feel like would be force fed for Brian Callahan in my opinion. I just feel like this is if the Titans were to draft Shedeur Sanders number 1 overall, great. Like you mentioned last week, it grabs attention to Titans fans to go watch the Titans. But at the same time, I don't know if that's really Brian Callahan's quarterback he wants.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like it's force fed. It's not organic.
Is it Amy's quarterback she wants?
Bingo.
Quite frankly, I don't think he's a franchise-changing quarterback. And that's why I would trade with, Las Vegas.
Or New York.
Because he's not going to save their franchise either. You get their first-round pick next year, guess what? You're picking right back in the top 5 again. Plus your pick, depending on how much you suck. So, you got – what happens when you have a, Houston Texans scenario where you got 2 picks in the top 3?
Here's my thing. If the Titans were to trade back, if they had the number 1 overall pick, obviously Ryan Carthon has his 49ers ties, and they had the method of their madness of getting Brock Purdy at like the very last pick of the draft. Why not take that approach?
Because it doesn't work.
Well, I'm not just saying.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Home run.
Might as well just load up on the picks that you can and really just kind of draft players you think are really going to excel the process. Like late in the draft, like
Cole McDonald or Luke Falk.
Well, no, not those guys.
Cole McDonald, Hawaii legend.
He got cut, I believe, in training.
What a strange throwing motion that guy had.
Oh, it was like Lonzo Ball.
Yeah. Those are the examples of late round quarterbacks the Titans have taken.
Right.
And did Luke Falk make the roster? No, they cut him. I remember because the Dolphins signed him right before that 7-hour game week 1. Just to try and get some of the Titans offensive stuff. Vrabel's first game. I think you got to take quarterback.
Yeah.
We're going to know what the Titans are going to do based on what they do in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to see what quarterback the Titans pick up, because they're going to pick up a quarterback. Maybe you bring back Mason Rudolph, but if you go for Derek Carr, you're probably not taking a quarterback early. If you go for Daniel Jones, I think that he profiles more as a backup for a guy like Shedeur Sanders.
I think Mac Jones profiles as more of a backup.
I would agree with that. I think that would be the tier. You could maybe put Jake Browning in there too, if there's a reunion to be had with Brian Callahan. But if you're going into the realm of Carr, Cousins, Rodgers, I don't think you're bringing that guy in and drafting a quarterback number 1 overall. It's going to be really interesting if the Titans do end up coming up with the number 1 overall pick, because the dialogue around these quarterbacks is that is all we're going to hear about for 4 months after Sunday. If the Titans have the number 1 overall pick, all we are going to hear about is Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward. Apparently it's a waste of airtime, but I don't think so. It's going to be mayhem if the Titans end up with the number 1 overall pick, because up until we either hear a name read on the stage or we get a tweet from Shefty or Rappaport saying the Titans have traded the pick, the speculation is going to run rampant about what the Titans are going to do.
I'm curious. I want to get y'all's opinion before we go to break real quick. But say, for instance, the Titans do trade out of the number 1 overall spot. You go get a quarterback, let's say maybe 4th, 5th, 6th round, somewhere in that realm. Obviously, these quarterbacks may or may not be there. But what about a guy like Will Howard, Kyle McCord, or Riley Leonard? Like, those 3 guys are, for the most part, I'd say system quarterbacks.
I like Kyle McCord actually out of that group the best.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the one I like the least.
I think he's the most pro style of a quarterback. Like, Will Howard and Riley Leonard are, I'm going to lower my shoulder into you and try and run you over. Maybe Will Howard. The 2 Ohio State guys I could get behind.
Yeah.
McCord, obviously.
I think they're all college quarterbacks.
I think they all are too. That's why they're going to go in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. But you never know. And I guess it all depends on what you plan on doing with Will Levis too. Me and TD were talking yesterday about maybe trading him. Liam Cohen's in Tampa Bay, his former Kentucky offensive coordinator. Maybe that's a fit behind Baker Mayfield. I don't know. If you're bringing Will Levis back, I don't think you really need a 4th or a 5th round pick at quarterback, because Levis is going to be in the building as your 3rd guy anyway. So I don't know. There's a lot to sort out there with quarterback. I still think if you have the number 1 pick, you got to take the quarterback. I wouldn't hate trading out, though. You can use some draft capital. Let's go to our phone lines now, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Trey is on the line wanting to chime in. Trey, what you got for us?
Hey, how y'all doing today, guys? Hey, I want to ask you, do you think that if they do pick Sanders or Hunter, do they have the skill to develop them to be decent players in the league? It makes me completely nervous. Look what they did to Will Levis, and I don't think that they can. I think we need to work on what we need to work on as far as the line, getting that taken care of, because I don't think they have the capability to transform those guys. And y'all tell me what y'all think. It just makes me nervous. And y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Trey. Yeah, he makes a good point. I think you got to go quarterback, but you look at the track record of the Titans developing quarterbacks. 3 top 10 picks spent on quarterbacks in the last 20 years. Vince Young, Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota.
I could argue that for any 1st round pick the Titans have had in the last 10
right.
years.
And you can't let that determine your strategy moving forward, because none of that has anything to do with this team now, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a new coach, it's a new GM, it's a new everything. But it is, I understand the hesitation from Titans fans, like, well, every quarterback we pick seems to be a bust. Why would this one be any different? You can't really think like that, but I do understand the thought process of the Titans are going to find a way to ruin it.
Oh, yeah. What do I say?
The Titans
The
always
Titans are gonna tighten.
Yes, I do.
They
That's
do.
my staying.
615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to chime in. We're talking Titans here. We'll get into Sunday's game a little bit because it is a huge game for the Titans. You are teetering on that line of where you lose, you are guaranteed to pick in the top 2. If you win, you're probably falling down into the 5, 6, 7 range, which out of quarterback range, and the trade down options are much slimmer from down there. So we'll talk about that coming up next. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. 4's Company here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Tune into 102.5 and 106.3 The Game today for Vanderbilt men's basketball. The Commodores take on LSU with a 3:30 p.m. tip. The pregame show starts at 3 o'clock. Coverage is also available on the 102.5 The Game app and at theGameNashville.com. Vanderbilt men's basketball is presented by Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball, coming to Nashville's Municipal Auditorium February 5th through March 2nd. Go to auprobasketball.com for more details and to purchase tickets. 4's company on this Saturday morning, hour number 2. We're talking Titans here as they prepare for Sunday's game. We were talking about it in the break, guys. Are the Titans going to tighten and win this game and knock themselves out of a top 2 draft pick?
It is going to happen. I'm telling you right now, they're going to do it because Houston's not playing well enough as it is. I think they just say, yeah, we've already won the division anyway. Pull everyone. Will Levis goes off for 4 touchdowns.
I hope that's not the case. I mean, John McClain was on with Chase McJoe earlier this week and mentioned like Houston needs this win.
They do. That's what I was looking for is their schedule because they've lost at least 2 in a row. Or
there hasn't been a consistent.
They lost 2 in a row. Yeah, they lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Ravens 31-2 last time out. So they do need a win. They're coming off 10 days rest. I think D'Amico Ryans is going to play everybody. Maybe I'm just talking myself into it, but I really think the Titans they're not going to screw this up.
Well, I could see D'Amico Ryans putting in like the first half, all of his starters, and the second half, if they're winning, then, pull them. But I hope the Titans don't tighten. If they do, Connor Newt, you know ball. Newt knows ball.
I already know ball, buddy. I'm a ball knower.
I understand that winning is important. Like, you want to build a winning culture. No one wants to head into the offseason off a loss. But, man, this game is just too important to lose.
I'm telling you right now, they're going to win, and then you're going to hear from Rand Carthon. We feel good about our future.
Yeah. This is a great first step heading into the offseason. We still have a great draft pick. I mean, last year, who knows who they would have picked if they were at 6. But winning that game against the Jaguars in Week 18 cost them a shot at Malik Neighbors. And we saw what Malik Neighbors did this year.
Yeah. It's just I have a bad feeling about this. Like, to make a Star Wars reference, I have a bad feeling about this.
Let me look at Tankathon and see how far they could fall if they win. So right now, New England is 3-13, Tennessee 3-13, Cleveland and the Giants are also 3-13. So those 4 teams are the only teams with a shot at the number 1 pick. New England controls their own destiny. Titans need the Patriots to lose, and so on and so forth. Cleveland needs the 2 in front of them, and on to the Giants. Jacksonville, Carolina, New York Jets, Vegas, Chicago are all 4-12. With the Titans' strength of schedule, they could fall all the way to 7.
Yeah.
With a win.
Then you get your tackle anyway.
Yeah.
But
you lose extra draft capital.
Yep. Which is detrimental.
It really is.
You need that.
For this franchise, it is. Might as well just put them at the bottom of the barrel once again. If they go at 7, all right, let's scrap whatever at the bottom there. I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. A top 10 pick is a top 10 pick, but not having extra draft capital if you had a number 1 overall, that also plays a factor in this, and it's unfortunate.
The difference between the 2nd pick and the 7th pick in terms of the trade value chart, and this is without counting the Titans picking 5 spots earlier in every round, is worth the 17th overall pick in the draft. So that I understand 7, you wouldn't automatically fall to 7 because some of those teams behind you could win also. But if you fall from 2 to 7, you are giving up the value of the 17th overall pick just there. And then in the 2nd round, that's the value of an extra 4th round pick between 34th and 39th. So you're basically a win on Sunday basically gets you the equivalent of the A.J. Brown trade, loses the equivalent of the A.J. Brown trade.
Yay!
Because you got a 1st and a 3rd for A.J. Brown. You're getting a mid-1st and a 4th just by losing on Sunday. I know that's not actually how it works, but in terms of value, that is what you are gaining or losing on Sunday.
Does that graph also show you what a number 1 overall pick is worth in this year's draft?
So the number 1 pick is always worth 1,000.
Right.
The number 2 is 717. So this is a good exercise. If the Titans were to try and move up from 2-1, it would cost them, at least on the value chart, probably a second and a third. Probably your second next year, or second this year and your third next year. Which, it's steep. But you want to be in position to be the top quarterback needy team, right? And that's where the Titans are right now. If you fall down to 7, you would let Cleveland, the Giants, and the Jets all pass you up, who all need quarterbacks. So you got to lose on Sunday. You have to. I'm not one who likes rooting for a team to lose, and
I'm not either.
I was all on board for the Titans trying to build a winning culture down the stretch. You look at the Lions a couple years ago, how they turned that late season run into the success they've had the last 2 years. But you're already in week 18. This win isn't going to do that much for you. A loss does a heck of a lot for you. You need to lose this game. And the Titans have said both quarterbacks are going to play. Will Levis is going to start. You got to hope Will Levis doesn't have the game of his life on Sunday.
They gotta treat this like a preseason game. Yeah. Try, David Michael Robinson, or whatever the heck his name is.
David Martin Robinson.
Something like that.
DMR, yeah.
Yeah. Trot him out there. Let him play quarterback.
Okay. Put Julius Chestnut back there.
Let's see Jeffrey Simmons in the backfield.
Put him at fullback again.
Yeah, just let Jeffrey Simmons get like 8 carries tomorrow.
Why Tavondre Sweat, actually.
So yeah, let Tavondre Sweat get some carries.
Put J.C. Latham in the slot.
Yeah.
Might as well. He's caught 3 passes this year that have been incidental.
Brian Callahan, strap on your helmet. You're going out there.
Put
me in. Sign me.
It is
one-day contract.
Too valuable to lose. Again, we just went through the value for you. The farthest the Titans can fall is the 7th pick. The difference in value between the 2nd and the 7th pick, and I'm only looking at the first 2 picks of the draft, the 1st and 2nd rounds. I'm sure there's more value to be had the rest of the way. The Titans would be gaining basically a 1st and a 4th round pick by losing the game on Sunday. That is massive. Massive. And if you trade back, you can get that value, or you can get the quarterback of the future if you like Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. You have to lose this game on Sunday. Let's go to Edward on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, who has thoughts on this as well. Edward, go ahead.
Thank you, guys. I enjoy your show on Saturday morning while I'm out running.
Thank you.
I have no confidence in draft picks. If you recall, back when Peyton Manning left the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans were on a full court press to get him. I think there were 3 teams in the running: the Broncos, the Titans. I can't remember who the other one was.
Was it the Cardinals, maybe?
Maybe. There was heavy courting by Bud Adams. Bud Adams saw the writing on the wall of what Peyton Manning was going to bring to the team. And, of course, what did the Broncos do? They won a Super Bowl. We have got to go out. I don't understand the salary cap. I don't understand how the finances work. But we need to go for the sure thing. Let's buy our way into a Super Bowl. And this is just an example. I'm not saying use this as an example, but I'm being a little facetious in saying it. Let's go get Drew Brees out of retirement. Let's get the sure thing. And I know Drew Brees he's done, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We have got to quit depending on draft picks, because we see where that's gotten us. Whether it's number 1, number 2, number 3, go for the sure thing. And I'll just be honest with you. I believe this all comes down to ownership. Bud Adams, he smelled that Super Bowl in 1999, and he wanted it before he knew he was going to go on to the great beyond. But it didn't happen. And I'm sure Amy Adams Trunk is a great lady, but Tennessee Titans are not her hobby. All right, it was Bud Adams. So anyway, that's just my thought, guys. I'm a rookie. I'm a neophyte at this sports talk radio, but if I was the owner, that's what I'm buying my way into a Super Bowl, and I'm not worried about a 3 to 5 year fix. I'm wanting to win now. Now. All right, guys. Thanks. Great show.
Thanks for the call, Edward. Yeah, and I get what he's saying because getting a proven quarterback is what you want to do. You can get the guy and immediately upgrade your team. The issue is those guys don't hit the market all that often. And even when they do, look at Aaron Rodgers. That's what the Jets thought they were doing. The Jets thought they were buying their way to the Super Bowl by getting Aaron Rodgers, and clearly it hasn't worked out. I agree with what he's saying that draft picks just don't seem to work out here at quarterback or at any position in the recent couple of draft classes. But who are you going to go get is the question.
Tom Brady's still on fantasy leagues.
Yeah, go get Tom Brady.
Go get him.
They probably should have back in
He's looking at NBA
20. Yeah. I think the Titans, you have to draft a quarterback. That's how you find those guys. Like, look at the best quarterbacks in the league. Nobody's letting those guys walk.
Yeah.
Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Jackson. You're in the AFC. You've got to compete with those guys every year. You got to find a guy who can compete with those guys. And the only place you're going to find that is in the draft.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're not bringing in Sam Darnold here, and he's not going to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. That's just not going to happen. So I think the Titans got to go for a quarterback. Can't mess it up on Sunday. They can't.
They will. Don't worry. They will.
If the Titans lose, they will pick no lower than second overall. And again, New England, the Bills, I think, are going to play Josh Allen for one snap to preserve his starting streak. And then they are going to unload the bench. Drake May is good enough to possibly win that game. Possibly. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. And if the Titans have the number 1 overall pick, I think it's got to be quarterback. I think it's got to be Shedeur Sanders. As long as Dion gives you his blessing. Perfect timing. 615-737.
The
Yeah.
celebration. Yeah.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to chime in, great calls today from Trey and Edward, both kind of on the same note of they don't trust the Titans to develop young players, which I can't blame them. I cannot blame them. We will take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some SEC hoops. We got some going on right in the studio right now. Connor's Wildcats are currently tied with Florida. 26-26 after a 3 there. We'll dive into some SEC hoops coming up next. You're listening to 4's Company here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason at John Bon Jovi's in downtown Nashville tomorrow for the pregame show, the final one of the year, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. They'll break down the Titans' Week 18 matchup against the Texans and give you the latest updates before the game. The pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment, Sundeck Nashville, Sloan's Motorcycle ATV, and award-winning Blue Note Juke Joint and Blue Note Crossroads Bourbon. We just went through the Titans cannot win on Sunday.
Do not. They will.
They cannot.
They cannot.
For the future of the franchise,
But they will.
they cannot win the game on Sunday. But we'll move on from that. It is SEC basketball season. Conference play opening today in what might be the greatest conference of all time in basketball. Just this year is what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Deepest,
for sure.
There is a chance that going 8-10 in the SEC gets you into the NCAA tournament this year because of how good this league is. We're looking right now. It's in a commercial break, but Kentucky and Florida are playing. Connor's Wildcats. That's a top 10 matchup. Tennessee's number 1. Is Auburn number 2?
They're number 2.
I think, yeah, they're still number 2.
So that's 4 top 10 teams right there. Mississippi State is up there towards the top. They're actually here in Nashville on Tuesday, taking on Vanderbilt.
Well, I might just stroll on over to Memorial Gym.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
So wear maroon, though. I learned that lesson.
Yeah.
I'll just wear white.
Yeah.
And just have like a maroon M on it.
Or wear gold.
Or
when
gray.
When I went last year, I wore white and khaki pants, and I just wore blue shoes. I'm like, that's my blue for the day.
I'm going to give security your picture tomorrow at Memorial and say, do not let this man in if he's wearing blue.
He is a wanted criminal.
Jake Lyman, I was going to say, looking at the AP top 25, there's 8 teams, I believe, in the top 15 alone.
That's ridiculous.
There were 10, and
Like,
then Ole Miss dropped.
Finishing 11th in the SEC, you're probably a bubble team.
Yeah.
Kentucky on a 16-0 run right now.
There you go.
Go Wildcats.
Go Cats.
Go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue.
And then outside of the top 15, Mississippi State at 17, Arkansas at 23. Some teams that are receiving votes from the SEC. I don't think there's any of those. Missouri, they're receiving votes.
Yeah, but it's like you just
Georgia.
go through so deep. Like, yeah, Georgia and Missouri, maybe not known as the best teams up there at the top of the league, but their strength of schedule and the quad one opportunities that they're going to have are going to be ridiculous, and they're going to have a chance to raise their net up.
I mean, who's at the bottom? South Carolina, and they have 3 losses, I think.
Yeah. I mean, look at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's 12-1.
Yeah.
And they've put up 100 points 3 times this year. They're taking on LSU later today, 3 p.m. pregame here on the game, 3:30 tip-off with Kevin Ingram and Tim Thompson. Like, Vanderbilt right now is one of the last teams in by bracketology, I think.
Oh.
Let me see. Who does Joe Lunardi, how many SEC teams does Joe Lunardi have in right now? I would guess it's either 12 or 13, which is
probably
crazy.
North of 10. John Rothstein actually tweeted something out. I think it was back in December, late November, where he broke down kind of, what each home game would be for each team, or, kind of like Tennessee going to South Carolina, Arkansas going to Kentucky, stuff like that. And I think it was every team going to on the road, like Arkansas going to Tennessee today, is a quad 1 matchup.
Yeah.
The only home floor, I think, was South Carolina, but that would still be a high quad 2 matchup. That's nuts.
ESPN has 12 SEC teams in the field right now, and Vanderbilt is the first team out. And Missouri is the third team out. So that is 14 teams within the top 71
Of your
in
16.
the bracket.
That's nuts.
That is ridiculous. I saw a tweet the other day. The top 16
18-0 run.
college. There we go.
And 1.
The top 16 strength of schedules across college basketball for the rest of the season is just the SEC.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
Deepest conference of all time.
It is the fact that 14 are either in the tournament or on the bubble, according to Joe Lunardi. And I get Joe Lunardi's word is not gospel, but to have 14 in the conversation to be in the tournament is unbelievable. The SEC is crazy, and we've got a full slate of games today.
So the SEC is a basketball conference?
I think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
And baseball.
And baseball.
And football. Well, not anymore.
Apparently not.
Imagine being an SEC fan in
Yeah.
this day and age in football.
That is true. We can't root for the SEC.
On Tennessee radio.
How are you feeling about this game right now, Connor?
I'm feeling fairly confident. I like
slow start,
18-3 run. But this is the games Mark Pope has shown up for. He's shown up for big games this season. I was talking to resident Duke fan Adam Vingan last night. He shows up for big games. Pulled it off against Duke, pulled it off against Gonzaga after a monstrous comeback. He lives for these games. He's got the X's and O's in his coaching. You see it right there. Outlet pass and a 3 nailed by Kobe Bray. Oh, my goodness. It's just a fun team. He's a fun coach. And to me, I think he's going to get better because this team, as good as they are right now, they were not bottom barrel. They were all transfer ads, portal ads. So what happens when Pope starts getting in his actual recruits, his 5 stars he's bringing in, his 4 stars? He retains some of these guys that aren't playing as much, like a Travis Perry, who's a Kentucky freshman, and Trent Noah, who are both from the Lexington area.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when those guys start to develop? On top of your guard play you're getting in your 5 stars, on top of your post play you're going to get, maybe you pick up some high-quality transfers because, as I've said before, contrary to what people believe, John Calipari was not the seller of Kentucky basketball. It's that name on the chest that sells. And that's for every program. I could say the same for Tennessee. People want to play for that name across the chest. Mississippi State, basketball program's on the rise. People want to play for that program. So I think what I'm trying to say is the future of Kentucky basketball is bright. Future of SEC ball in general is bright.
Yeah.
Look at this conference right now.
I still can't believe looking at that. I knew the number was going to be high for teams that are expected to get into the tournament, but 14 of 16 being at worst the 3rd team out is insane. And the conference is going to cannibalize itself. Like, I don't know if anybody's going to go.
They're all going to beat up on each other.
Nobody's going to go 13-3 in the SEC, but you're going to have everybody between about 12-4 and 18 games. Like 13-5 and 8-10.
Dad and I were talking
all
about
of those teams are going to get in.
Dad and I were talking about this yesterday. You go 12-6, maybe.
You're
a top 4 in the conference.
You have to be.
You have to be.
Yeah, you're a top 4 seed probably. Maybe even top 2 or 3.
A question that just hit me: how many teams do you think that go like 12-6? 13-5, or I guess 11-7, get left out of the NCAA tournament?
None of them.
Well, because you're going to have better teams from better conferences. Is there a possibility that a team like that gets left out
from the SEC?
Yeah.
No. I think every SEC team that finishes 500 or better in the conference is getting in. If you finish 9-9 or better in the SEC, that's good enough to get you into the dance.
None of them have just absolutely horrible non-conference losses either.
No, that's why there are so many that are already in.
The worst I can think of, for me, is Kentucky losing to Ohio State the other day. But Vanderbilt lost to Drake. Drake just dropped their first game of the season.
Yeah.
I could say Arkansas. They lost to Baylor and Illinois.
Those are both good
teams.
Those are both,
yeah. Baylor's ranked again. Illinois is on the bubble. That's a better loss than Ohio State, I would say.
If you go 9-9 in the SEC, you are in. 8-10, I think, puts you on the bubble. Honestly, if there's a 7-11 team in the SEC that gets a couple of wins against the big boys, like if you beat Tennessee and Auburn and you're 7-11, you just drop some other games, I think you got a shot. That's how crazy the SEC is.
My dad would like to chime in. He says he has 5 games that he considers he has watchable interest in today, and all of them are SEC games. He's been watching basketball for 50 years, and that has never happened.
Yeah, it's
that guy knows ball.
The SEC has taken all of its money and decided to be good at basketball, and it's working out for them. Quickly, I'll mention 10 SEC teams on the women's side currently projected into the field by Charlie Cream. 13 Big Ten teams, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
On the women's side. I didn't realize that was the number, but looking up in the top left corner of this bracket, the Nashville Regional.
I would love a Nashville
Right now,
regional.
Charlie Cream has Vanderbilt as a 4 seed.
I would love a Nashville regional.
How fun would that be?
That'd be so great for the city.
I mean, I think
and the sport.
you would get great crowds because you look, it would be right now, his projection, you would have all 4 of these teams coming to Nashville to play 3 games over a 3-day span. Vanderbilt taking on Norfolk State, West Virginia, James Madison. And then the winners would face each other here in Nashville too. I love that the first 2 rounds of the women's tournament are still on campus sites. Like that's last year I got to go back to Blacksburg because Vandy played in Virginia Tech's regional. And even though you have to be neutral, like you can't play, like Tech couldn't play Enter Sandman when the game started for the women's side. So the student section just sang it.
That's
like
awesome.
A cappella, which like you'd have that great environment. I think Memorial would get packed out. So I hope that holds. Vandy's got to play well in SEC play, but having a Nashville regional would be really cool.
Yeah, it started Thursday, but
yep,
the first true test
tomorrow. Yep, number 16 Kentucky's in town, and I will plug it again. $1 tickets if you want to come out.
I will be there. That's your biggest draw.
Vandy is the only team in the country with 2 players averaging 20 points or more. Michaela Blake's averages just over 20. Camille Pierre averages 23. So they're must-see TV. Georgia Amore, I watched her plenty at Virginia Tech. She's at Kentucky now. She is an All-American level player. Going to be a great matchup tomorrow. 2 p.m. tip, $1 tickets. I'll plug it again. 615-737-1025. We will come back. We will wrap it up and make some picks. We're going to pick the college football playoff semifinals. And we didn't have a wild card back on Tuesday for the New Year's Eve show. We'll do a wild card this week. 4's Company coming back for a final segment after this on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Final segment on this Saturday morning. 4's Company, Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman, wrapping up the show with our weekend picks. We're going to pick the college football playoff semifinals, which are coming up late next week, and we will also have a wild card. I'm interested to see where Nick Frazier goes. He is looking for the most obscure sport he can possibly find, and he is going to make a pick since darts are over.
It's not obscure, but it is off the beaten path.
Okay.
Darts are over. What are you going to do with your life?
Yeah,
now?
I know.
I'm getting ready for rugby.
Oh, right.
Ah.
The NRL starts again soon. We'll get our
Yep.
NRL.
Ballyhoo action.
Yes, we'll get our NRL headlines back coming up soon. When does the season start?
It starts March the 1st, and I will be
All
in
right.
attendance for week one
That's
Wow.
2 months.
in Las Vegas.
I'm so excited for you.
I'll send you guys pictures.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I went last year, saw the Brisbane Broncos, my favorite team, get destroyed, but that's all right.
Do you have a jersey?
I don't. I do have a shirt though, a T-shirt,
Nice.
and then I have like a little commemorative hat that they
Sweet.
gave out.
We're tied in Lexington. Oh, 3.
Ooh.
Bang! Jackson Robinson for
How
3.
about that?
Most people call that baseball season, but rugby season for you
Yeah, I mean,
starting in March?
I
I know you
love-
like baseball.
yeah, baseball is still a
March
sport
is still basketball season, pal.
that is true.
so.
That
But
is-
you
yeah,
should know
rugby
that.
season goes
Yeah.
till October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's a long season.
Yeah, basically
Mm-hmm.
the opposite of football season. I kind of like it. Maybe I'll get into the NRL.
It's awesome. I will give you guys a subscription to watch it. Have a blast.
How many
What's-
of those
what's-
guys end up with CTE?
Well, there was one guy last year that ended up was unconscious, and they took him out to the hospital. And
Oh,
he
nice.
came back, and he was all right. but,
What's
like,
the one team that I thought was fake?
the
thought-
Manly Sea
Yes, the
Eagles.
Manly
The
Sea.
Manly Sea
That's going to be
Eagles.
my team.
That's my
Yep.
team. That's our team.
You got
That's
the,
our team.
the
Yeah, yeah.
Trebojevic twins. They have a trio.
Right. How could
Yeah.
I forget about that?
You'll love those
the
guys.
Shaboyevich.
Trebojevic.
The
Oh.
Trebojevic twins. Right. I have one of their jerseys. I don't know which one. Let's get into our picks. Let's
Turbo.
start with
Tommy
the
Turbo.
college football playoff semifinals. Notre Dame, Penn State, winner to the national championship. Connor, I think I know where you're going.
I'm going Notre Dame.
Yep.
Play like a champion today. I like the way they play. It's going to be low scoring, smash mouth physical football, I think. But I'll take Notre Dame 17-14.
I haven't learned my lesson. Apparently, I'm taking Penn State.
Wow.
Yep.
We are.
Yep.
James
I
Franklin to the Natty.
have not learned my lesson one bit, but Notre Dame's going to probably prove me wrong again.
I will go Notre Dame. I think the Fighting Irish are the better team right now, and I trust, maybe without reason to, but I do trust Marcus Freeman more in that spot than James Franklin. Jake Wallman?
I am getting my pick ready and play the fight song.
Yes. The best fight song in all of college.
Go
sports.
Irish.
So 3 on the Irish.
This guy played the Father Ryan fight song on our air. He's singing it.
Under from the sky, will never stagger, will never.
Okay.
fall.
I think we've hit our singing limit for the show.
Chase is going
Chase is going to
We're gonna
text
get
us
fined.
any second now. Okay, so we've got 3 on Notre Dame and Nick Frazier lone wolfing it on Penn State.
Yep.
The lone wolf works out sometimes. I did it on Ohio State and Arizona
Almost
State last
worked for
week,
you
and
twice.
it almost gave me the perfect week.
Get it.
Let's go
Get it.
Texas, Ohio State on the
11
other
point
side of the bracket. Nick Frazier.
I'm going to go with Ohio State. I mean, obviously, they're heavy favorites going into this game, probably. And they just, you mentioned it earlier, Jake, something about that Michigan game. It woke them up.
Yep.
So I'm going Ohio State.
I will go Ohio State as well.
I'll go with you.
Yep.
I don't think anyone's beating them.
Jake Wallman.
I feel like Texas has flirted with disaster a lot this year.
Mhm.
I may be wrong. And, most recently in Atlanta last week with Arizona State. But teams that normally flirt with disaster, I feel like always come out on top. So
You lone wolf
Say
in
it.
the burnt orange.
I'm going to lone wolf the burnt orange. I'm not going to do horns down. That's gross. We talked about
Poke 'em, baby.
horns down.
Playoff picks. Nick Frazier going with Penn State. Jake Wallman with Texas. Me and Connor Newt both believe it's going to be a Buckeye-Irish national championship.
Yes.
Those games will be exciting, and we will recap them next week on the show. Same time, same place. But let's get to our wild card picks. I just can't wait anymore to hear what Nick Frazier's going to. So, Dr. Crane, go ahead.
This is the Italian Supercoppa final. My favorite team, AC Milan, is going up against rivals.
Okay,
normal
it's at
Inter
least
Milan.
soccer. Okay.
Yeah, Inter Milan. This is called the Derby della Madonnina, which is the rivalry that goes back to probably like 1904 or 1895, something like that. But yeah, these two go at each other. They share a stadium. But this is, I think, played somewhere in the Middle East. It's just they always do this for Supercopa games and stuff like that. So they just try to enhance the product, is what it is. So Christian Pulisic, a U.S. guy,
Yes.
he scored last game against Juventus in the Supercopa semifinals. So we'll see what he does today. Not today, Monday. This
He's on
game will
AC
take place.
Milan.
He is.
I
yeah.
thought he was Premier League.
And Musa
Was he-
the midfielder as well.
Chelsea before?
He was Chelsea.
Yeah, he didn't get much play time there. So
See,
he's
I
like,
know I know some European
this
soccer.
Jake Lyman knows soccer.
I do not. I do not know ball in that sense.
I keep up with, when we're in the Olympics or something,
There
or
you go.
World Cup.
Right. I will be the biggest soccer fan in the world for about 2 weeks for the World Cup
Hey,
and the Olympics. But
Y'all are gonna like some U.S. soccer now. Mauricio Pochettino is.
I
turning
like
this
that
team-
coach.
he's
I like
turning this
that
team
I
coach.
like
that
his
name.
name. It's fun to say. Yeah.
Mauricio.
Pochettino.
Mauricio.
Mauricio.
Wasn't
Mauricio
that the
Pochettino.
Madagascar
He's
guy?
Argentinian, but like he's the coach of the U.S. team. He's pretty good.
All right. So you've got AC Milan winning.
Yes.
Nick, Connor Newt.
I really hope I'm not taking your pick here.
You probably are.
I'm going to the game of the week in the NFL. Yeah.
I almost went first just so I could make sure it didn't
Yeah.
get stolen. But
I'm
you go
sorry.
ahead.
I
I'll
was
find
gonna,
a new
I
one.
was gonna take this game, but it's in progress, and I don't want to do that. That's bending the rules a little bit. Game of the week in the NFL: Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings for the first seed in the NFC. Loser gets the 5 seed for the division crown. Give me canned Damble. Dan Campbell and the Lions get it done.
Here to chew some bubble gum and bite off kneecaps.
We're all out of kneecaps.
I was going to take the Lions.
And we're all
as
out of
well,
bubble gum.
just for the record.
You can join me. Well,
No, I'll come up with another
it's
one.
more powerful when we both do it.
Jake Wallman, you got it.
I'm going up to Pittsburgh for my game, my wild card later today. Cincinnati needs this one and a a Broncos win. Is that right?
Broncos
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 win gets
lo-
them in.
Yeah. Okay.
A Broncos loss, a Miami loss gets the Bengals in if they win.
Okay.
Lot of work to do.
And there's been some discord out of Pittsburgh. People kind of upset about Mike Tomlin. He always gets that 10th, 11th win and then just kind of coasts down the stretch until he loses in the first round. I think Pittsburgh needs this one going into the playoffs. Give me the Steelers over the Bengals today.
All right.
Sorry, Joe.
Steelers would lock up the 5 seed, I believe, with that, and they would head on the road to Houston for the first round of the playoffs. I'm not going to pick the Titans game because I don't want to jinx anything, but I will pick the other side that needs to happen to get the Titans the number 1 pick. Patriots beat the Bills. That is my wild card pick.
There you go.
I had to go on the fly because I was going to take the Lions over the Vikings, but
I'm sorry.
it's a wild card, so we can't overlap. But I will put on the record I was going to pick the Lions. I think the Bills are they are the 2 seed no matter what, and they don't get a bye, so they have to be ready to go next week at home. I think they are going to pretty much sit everybody. Drake May is good enough to win that football game. I think the Patriots beat the Bills. If the Titans hold up their end of the bargain, they would have the number 1 overall pick after Sunday's games. So I'm going to pick the other side of it. I don't want to jinx the Titans.
Now, if the Patriots win and the Titans win,
If the
Hmm,
Patriots win
interesting.
and the Titans win, if the Browns or Giants lost,
They're
they
back
would
up.
get it.
Yeah.
So if the Browns lose, they would have the number 1 pick if both of those results happen. If the Patriots, Titans, and Browns lose or win and the Giants lose, the Giants would have the number 1 pick.
okay.
So
So a lot needs to happen.
those are the only 4 teams that can get it. It goes in order from Patriots, Titans, Browns, Giants. Everybody needs the team in front of them to lose in order to move or to win in order to move up.
Okay.
So Titans just need the Patriots to win and a loss to get the number 1 pick.
What if all 4 of those teams win and
If
it's just
all
mass
of them
chaos?
team
Mass
win,
chaos.
then the Patriots would get the first pick. So those are the 2 ways the Patriots can get the first pick. They either lose or all 4 of those teams win. Titans just need the Patriots to win and a loss to the Texans. I'm at least picking that the Patriots will beat the Bills backups on Sunday.
I think that can happen. I really do.
We'll see.
Now the Titans will blow it.
Ramondre Stevenson shows up in week 18.
Yeah,
maybe.
how sad would that be if like the Patriots win their game and there's like 2 minutes left to go in the Titans game and they're losing and the Titans engineer a comeback and steal the number 6 pick from the jaws of the number 1 pick?
What, the third string kicker, Matt Wright, kicks a
kicks a
50-yard
field goal to take the Titans out of the top position.
Disgusting.
I really hope not. I don't like rooting for the Titans to lose, but in this case, it is the best thing
You have to.
for the franchise.
You have to.
Number 1 pick's on the table. Number 2 at the worst, as long as they lose to the Texans on Sunday. That's at noon tomorrow. That'll do it for us here on 4's Company on this Saturday morning. For Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman, I am Jake Lyman. Coming up later today on the Game Nashville Sports Network, Vanderbilt men's basketball taking on LSU, starting off SEC play. That is a 3:30 tip. Coverage starts with Kevin Ingram and Tim Thompson at 3 o'clock. Looking forward to that. We'll be back next week recapping the college football playoff semifinals and much more here on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
See ya.